Dillian the Body Snatcher White here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
So, a fresh update right now. Now, I know I did a video a couple of hours ago where I uploaded it with giving you guys an update with the WBC, Mauricio Suleiman, saying that a statement shall be released this week. Now, automatically, we're probably thinking maybe tomorrow or Friday, whatever. But they've done it now. Okay, there's actually an official statement right now, and I'm going to read it straight away. And afterwards, I'm going to give the WBC a bit of a circumcision and a squishing of the balls because, to be honest with you, I ain't happy. Okay, and this is what the WBC had to say. And by the way, if you're not subscribed, make sure you are. So, WBC statement on Dillian Whyte. On July the 20th, 2019, Dillian Whyte defeated Oscar Rivas, conquering the WBC Interim Heavyweight World Championship. A few days later, a news report made public that an out-of-competition urine sample collected by UKAD on June the 20th from Dillian Whyte had yielded an adverse finding. In light of that adverse finding and pending the outcome of the WBC's own investigation and adjudicatory process, on July the 30th, the WBC provisionally suspended its recognition of Dillian Whyte as WBC Interim World Heavyweight Champion and mandatory challenger of the division. On December the 6th, UKAD made a public announcement withdrawing its charge against Dillian Whyte. Based on limited but detailed research and information gathering, including the WBC's consultation with two independent experts, the WBC found that there were no sufficient or conclusive evidence that Whyte intentionally or even knowingly ingested a banned substance with the purpose of enhancing its performance in any fashion. In light of the WBC's own finding and of UKAD's withdrawal of this claim against Mr. Whyte, the WBC has closed its internal investigation. The WBC is hereby lifting its provisional suspension and confirming its recognition of Mr. Whyte as WBC Interim World Heavyweight Champion. Consistent with the WBC Board of Governors ruling last October's 57th WBC Annual Convention, Interim Champion Whyte shall become the mandatory challenger of the division immediately after champion Deontay Wilder's mandatory defense against current mandatory challenger Tyson Fury, with the mandatory defense against Whyte being due on or about February of 2021. WBC statement. Now, there's a whole lot of nuggets here. First of all, I'm not happy with the fact that there's no apology. And the reason why I would have liked an apology toward Dillian Whyte from the WBC is for a couple of reasons. First of all, as they started out in their statement that a news thing was broken about Dillian Whyte, first of all, that was private. Okay, it should never have been broken. The UKAD's rules are everything behind closed doors. So the WBC acted based on a news article. In other words, from Thomas Hauser. Okay, so there's the first one. And with them suspending Dillian Whyte's position as mandatory and interim world heavyweight champion, a lot of people ran with the idea, oh, well, if the WBC have done that, then clearly Dillian Whyte is guilty. And they know fine well that they've done this, but there's no apology. So Mauricio Suleiman, as per 2 videos ago about this particular subject, I want to know, let me ask you this question, Mauricio, where is Dillian Whyte's apology? Now, as far as reinstating his position as mandatory challenger and, of course, interim world heavyweight champion, cool. But here's the thing, pretty fucking obvious. Now, quite why these guys are giving this huge statement that makes zero sense whatsoever. Nobody wanted to hear this whole statement, not at all. All people wanted to know was, are you reinstating Dillian Whyte and when's he going to get his goddamn world title shot? As per the original agreement. So therefore, if Dillian Whyte is cleared, and you have accepted that it's clear, so therefore, shouldn't it go back to its original position? Should it not? Because nothing's changed. You just presumed him guilty, is what you've done. So everything that was in place beforehand, on the day when he defeated Oscar Rivas, as per the original agreement, was Dillian Whyte becomes mandatory challenger. Check. Dillian Whyte becomes WBC Interim World Heavyweight Champion. Check. Dillian Whyte will then get his world title shot in May of 2020. But that bit they're leaving out. But that was the original agreement. So how can you change it? You can't change it. Dillian Whyte won the right to become mandatory. He didn't win the right to become secondary mandatory, which is now what you've done. Because by installing Tyson Fury as mandatory, you've now moved Dillian Whyte as secondary mandatory. That's not what he was fighting Oscar Rivas for. He was fighting Oscar Rivas to become mandatory, not secondary mandatory, Mauricio. It ain't difficult to understand. Listen, I love Tyson Fury as much as anybody else. And listen, I have no issues with him fighting Deontay Wilder on February the 22nd. I don't have an issue with that. But the issue is inconsistencies. The issue is the WBC and their rules. The issue is WBC and their bias. Fact being, they want Tyson Fury against Wilder and not Dillian Whyte. When you compare Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte, when you look at it, Dillian Whyte has paid hundreds of thousands of pounds towards the WBC in sanction fees. Tyson Fury hasn't paid anything. Nothing. Dillian Whyte has been WBC silver champion for the longest time. He's been representing the WBC. Tyson Fury has not been doing that. Dillian Whyte has been fighting eliminators, final eliminators. And that's how you become mandatory. Look at the history. Every single mandatory must fight a final eliminator. Dillian Whyte's done that. Tyson Fury hasn't fought an eliminator, let alone a final eliminator. Otto Wallin and Tom Schwartz weren't even ranked by the WBC even in the top 50 to my knowledge. So you can't just replace Dillian Whyte with Tyson Fury. Dillian Whyte fought for the mandatory, not secondary mandatory. And I'll keep on repeating this, Mauricio, because I'm not happy. I'm not happy with this whatsoever. Now, as I said in the previous video, now I fully expected them to do what it is that they've done here, okay? And then what will happen is Dillian Whyte, Eddie Hearn, hopefully, they're probably going to take things a little bit further, potentially sue the WBC. Then the WBC will back down and say, okay, fine, Dillian Whyte, you can fight the winner in May, June, whenever. So, the reason why I said that was, cut out all that unnecessary crap and say, okay, the original agreement was for Dillian Whyte to fight for the WBC heavyweight world title in May. So we're going to stick to that. That's what we're going to go back to. Tyson Fury never asked to become mandatory. Never wanted to become mandatory. He's lineal heavyweight champion, correct? How can you make a lineal heavyweight champion a mandatory? You can't. You just can't. This is bullshit, Mauricio. This is complete bullshit. It's absolute garbage. What they're doing is they use this whole situation to suit themselves. Because Wilder wants the Fury fight. Al Heyman wants the Fury fight. The PBC want the Fury fight. Well, you're getting the Fury fight. But the thing is that they've signed to have another fight after. Win, lose or draw with Wilder Fury, they're going to do it again. That isn't fair. That's not fair at all. And the reason that they made Tyson Fury mandatory is so they don't have to force Wilder to go fight Dillian Whyte for another year. Listen, don't you think that Dillian Whyte has been number one for far too long? He's owed a title shot. He's been cleared. Nothing was found in his system. It was put down to contamination. And again, going by this statement that the WBC are putting out, it almost sounds like they're disappointed with it. That's the impression I'm getting as I'm reading this. It looks like the WBC are actually disappointed with this. At no point did they put in there, it was ruled contaminated. At no point. When that's what the findings was. Even though Dillian Whyte, he passed all VADA. He passed all VADA, Mauricio. Your own process is VADA. Why are you bending the rules? Why are you changing everything? Dillian Whyte should be fighting the winner of Wilder Fury in May. Even if Wilder Fury don't fighting for whatever reason, Dillian Whyte should still fight for the WBC heavyweight world title in May. Dillian Whyte should not accept this situation. He shouldn't. Listen, whatever it is that Dillian's going to do or whatever it's going to be, that's not my business. But what is my business as a boxing fan is what's right and what's wrong. And I'll say to everybody listening right now, whether you like Dillian Whyte, whether you don't, whether you think he's good, whether you think he's garbage or whatever it may be, it makes no difference. What's right is right. What's the point of the ranking system of these guys going through eliminators and fighting this guy and fighting that guy, etc., 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 to get to a certain position and not be given a world title fight? What is the point? Dillian Whyte is not fighting to just be ranked. He's fighting to become a world champion. He's been fighting and representing the WBC for a long, long time. For a long time. Wasn't the silver belt on the line when he fought Hellenius? I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure Dillian Whyte was a WBC international champion even before that. He's been very, very loyal to the WBC, and the WBC are not being loyal back. What kind of message is that sending out to all the fighters out there? What is the problem with the WBC not wanting Dillian Whyte there? It's almost like they're waiting for permission from Al Heyman and Deontay Wilder to say, listen, can we put Dillian Whyte back in his mandatory? Would you mind fighting him? And Wilder's going, no, I ain't fighting him. I ain't going to fight him for a long old time. I'll tell you what you're going to do, Mauricio. You're going to push him back for another year. I want you to make Tyson Fury the mandatory, so I haven't got to even think about Dillian Whyte for like another year. And by the time that one comes around, I want you to make me franchise champion. Let's keep that motherfucker on the sidelines. He's too loud, Mauricio. He's too opinionated, Mauricio. You don't want him representing the WBC, Mauricio, do you? And Mauricio says, oh, yeah, Deontay, see. Mauricio, you are a complete coward. You really are. You're a coward. You need to be standing up to your champion, okay? And stop it with his goddamn friendship. Oh, Deontay Wilder's my friend. And he shouldn't be your friend. This isn't a friendly business. This is business. What's right is right. Tyson Fury, I'm talking to you right now, okay? I love you, man, but seriously, you need to be speaking out about this. You need to be standing up and holding your own bollocks and saying, no, this isn't right. I don't want to be the mandatory. I'm lineal heavyweight champion of the world. I don't need to be mandatory. Stick that mandatory up your ass. That's what you need to be doing, Tyson. It's very simple, isn't it? But Tyson ain't going to do that because he ain't got the balls to do it. He talks a good game, but he ain't going to do it, is he? I wish he would, but he won't. Mauricio, WBC, you guys are absolute clowns. Clowns. For me, I don't know what choice Dillian Whyte has. I have no idea what choice he has. Honestly, Dillian, Eddie Hearn, if you guys have written confirmation that the original agreement was that Dillian should be fined for the WBC title in May, there's your evidence right there. Mauricio, you have no choice. Stop doing what it is that Wilder wants to do. You've been letting him get away with this for far too long. You just have. This is bullshit. Anyway, drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.